Alright, good evening folks. Let's go ahead and jump right into it here. We got the 0Z Euro, which I think is closest to the solution that I'm looking at. With one little error, I don't believe this piece is going to be out in front here, and I believe that this thing is going to be more phased in here. But we'll take a look and see if that's the case over the coming days. Why? Because I don't believe this in here, that this ridge is going to be pumped this far east. There's just too much energy in the Pacific to argue for that. And then this time, our strong Pacific flow may actually be helping us for once. But nice closed low here. I do agree with this, if not to put it slightly further to the north and east, just a little bit, or actually, sorry, to the south and east into here, assuming that we can consolidate some of this energy and maybe try to phase this in. But nevertheless, it's a pretty good solution. And as you can see when we take a look at the surface map here, got a nice low pressure system. Weird 850 configuration. I don't necessarily think that's going to be correct, but Southwest Virginia is absolutely getting slammed per this run. And you can see that they're going to get the dosage with the quote-unquote second low. And we're going to go over why I don't think the second low solution is really a viable option here at this point. So here you can see the Euro trying to consolidate the low, but jumping one out front. Why? Because it is this piece of energy in here that it weakens. It does a better job than the NAM at least, but again, remember, if we don't have this piece in here, then this should be stronger, this should be further back into here, and we should have a more phased solution with a trough configuration that looks something more like this, and moves its way to the east coast. So I think at this point we'd have more of a neutral trough than already having the negative tilt, and we'll just see how that works out. But nevertheless, nice high pressure system, starting to get that classic banana shape look to it in here. We'll see if that trend continues as we get closer to the storm. By 84 hours, looking at the QPF charts, again, you can see the zero lines moved a little bit further to the west. West Virginia is getting hammered here. Southeast Pennsylvania is not doing too bad. Connecticut, Rhode Island, you're not doing too bad with this solution. But remember, probably more likely with the Euro, I don't believe that its depiction based on the H5 is correct. Probably we'd see more of a low in here and more of a low out here and less of one in the center if this too low solution turns out to be correct, which once again, I don't think it's going to. And again, you can see here's the H5 low consolidating. Again, here's the correction that I'm going to make. Have this dig a little bit further south, have this in here, and probably be more in here, and you get a more negatively tilted solution that looks like this with a cutoff low in here closed off, and if that were to be happening, a big low around here, big snows for I-95 and everybody's happy. That's what I'm leaning towards at this point. I wouldn't say that I'm forecasting it yet, but I'm definitely leaning toward that solution. And here we go. Southwest Virginia is definitely the jackpot this run, absolutely getting slammed. I think they're upwards of 3 inches QPF versus via the Euro. And remember, if the H5 is more consolidated, we put this low out front here, we weaken this low back here, and we're going to bring all this heavy QPF right into this area in here. So we'll see what the 12Z run looks like tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it trends toward that solution, but nevertheless, massive cutoff low in here, one low going up here, second low in here. Place is absolutely getting plastered, and you can see, oh, look at this in Southwest Virginia, this 1 inch QPF. Nevertheless, DC, South Central PA, Western Mass, you're not doing too bad. But with this double low solution, it starts to drive the warm air up in front. Again, let's go back to the H5 and talk about what the correction has to be. Again, I say that we have more of the H5 low sitting in here. We have this piece of energy more so down here. And so we have a configuration that looks more like that. Although, again, I wouldn't discount anything at this point. Any solution is certainly possible, but I don't see. I like what I'm looking at. Put it that way, and why wouldn't I? Because I'm the one who's forecasting it. All right, so moving on here to 120, you can see that this low absolutely just sits in here. H5 low weekends, again, there's too much up north. Here it is finally starting to get the phasing going in, just a little too late. And so what happens, QPF weekends, and I don't necessarily buy this. Out to 132, more of the same, and over to 144, it starts to weaken and lift. And again, my correction, put this whole thing further inland right here, right across the benchmark. And I think that's what we're going to see with this storm, but we'll see as time goes on. All right, let's quickly take a look at the GEM, the GGEM, because I believe that, well, we'll discuss why its out to sea solution, and it's the only model doing so, I believe is incorrect. All right. Here is the GGEM. This is valid, I believe, 84 hours, same time as the NAM. This looks a little bit too far south to me. It's the furthest north with this northern stream energy, has absolutely no phasing, so what happens? It runs all the energy off the coast, and you can say bye-bye big storm. Most of the QPF stays well off the coast, and here's the H5 lifting, and you're finally getting some sort of phasing going on once we get on to 108 hours. But again, it's certainly not the favored solution at this point, at least in my mind. All right, let's get back to the other charts here. All right, let's take a look at the NAM. What I want to show you here first is the 18Z NAM. This is remember, I said that I thought that this was going to be wrong. It was too strong with this first piece of energy. I didn't think the jet in here was going to be as strong, and I'll show you a little later that in fact the 0Z run is back way off with this jet. And I said this piece will be faster. It'll be closer in here, and let's see what the 0Z looks like, valid at the same time. Hey, look at that! It went exactly to my solution. Stronger piece in here, weaker out front, and so what do we see at the surface? Actually, sorry, that's 60 hours, not quite to the surface yet. Here's the here's the cutoff low diving to the south. It's got a little bit of again with this little piece out front, we get the low to develop a little fast, and it moves far to the north. Again, I don't necessarily think that's right. That was 72. Here we go to 84 hours. Again, I think that the correction with this would be put this feature in here, up here, you weaken this feature, cancel it out, and what do you get? You get a low sitting right along the Virginia Capes off the coast of North Carolina, and heavy, heavy snow all through this area in here. Nevertheless, even the NAM, with its current depiction, is not at all unkind. DC, you're probably rain verbatim on this, but Western Maryland and in West Virginia, you're doing quite well on this with all snow. But anyway, so we'll see. Again, I think that's probably, I think a compromise between the NAM and the Euro is probably a good solution at this point. But looking at the air, again, here's 12Z today. Remember I said that, I'm sorry, this is the 0Z from tonight. The jet in here is weaker than it. Remember I said the jet was going to be weaker, and sure enough, sorry, I kind of have my maps a little out of order here. It's my bad. But you can see that the jet was much stronger here at 12Z today. Let's look at it again versus 0Z tonight. You can see big weakening of the jet in here, and that's why the front runner is a lot weaker out front. Now onto the GFS. Last quick little solution. This just looks weird to me. I don't. It's possible, but it just looks weird. And then you get this in here, and so low ends up sort of strung out along the coast. You get one low in here, one low in here because of this piece of energy in here. This is so close to a phase. I'd expect this to be further down. I think this is the GFS jumping too much on the piece of energy out front, which is one of the GFS's typical errors, and so that's the solution we end up with. So that's all for now. I'll be back for the 12Z updates tomorrow, and we'll see where we go. At this point, I think things are looking very favorable for a major snowstorm along the entire I-95 corridor. First guess maps out early Friday morning.